This is the new TTArtisan 7.5mm fisheye lens. But with so many 7.5mm fisheye lens that is already in the market, why does TTArtisan release another 7.5mm fisheye lens? It's because this lens actually has quite a few things that is different from the other fisheye lenses in the market. What are they? Let's talk about it in this video. Kia ora, good morning everyone, Vignetting here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to have a look at this brand new 7.5mm fisheye lens from TTArtisan. Before we start, the usual disclaimer. TTArtisan, they contact me and send me this sample before the product was announced, but it is not a sponsored review, and they even explicitly asked me to just say anything I found about this lens, no matter it is positive or negative. The only thing they asked me to do is to put the link to the official website and the official online shop in the video description below. They also gave me a discount code, so if you want to buy this lens, you can use the discount code to give yourself a little bit of discount. It is not an affiliated link, but you can support me by even just check out their website using the link in the video description. So TTArtisan know that there are actually people watching my review. In this video, I'm only going to talk about this TTArtisan fisheye lens, but at the same time, I'm also gathering a few more very similar fisheye lenses. So I'm going to do a 7.5mm fisheye lens comparison review very soon. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, remember to subscribe to this channel so you won't miss my comparison review, which will be coming out very soon. Okay, let's talk about the design and build quality of this fisheye lens first. This TTArtisan fisheye lens is a fully manual, fully mechanical lens with no electronic support at all. The lens is completely made of metal and it feels very solid. The size is pretty compact and the weight is around 350 grams. So it depends on which mount you choose, the weight will be slightly over or under that. This lens is designed for mirrorless cameras only, and it is available for pretty much every mirrorless camera mount in the market: Sony E, Fuji X, Canon EOS M, Canon RF, Nikon Z, Leica L mount, and also Micro Four Thirds. The optical formula for all the different versions are exactly the same. So while I'm using the Fuji version in this review, the results should be virtually the same no matter what camera you are shooting with. If you use this lens on a APS-C camera, the field of view is 180 degrees. If you use it on the Micro Four Thirds camera, the field of view is 150 degrees because of the smaller sensor area. One very interesting thing about this lens is, while it is a diagonal fisheye lens when you use it on a APS-C or Micro Four Thirds camera, you can transform it into a circular fisheye lens when used on a full frame camera. So what you need to do is just to take the lens cap and remove the center piece from the lens cap. By the way, this metal lens cap that comes with the lens is a very nice quality one and it fits onto the lens perfectly. So now you remove the center piece from the lens cap, you just need to attach it onto the lens hood. Now if you use this lens on a full frame camera and you shoot in the full frame mode, you can get a perfect circular fisheye image. Unfortunately, I wasn't aware of this design until I received the lens. Otherwise, I would have asked TTArtisan to send me an L mount or Z mount version instead so I can test out this feature on a full frame camera, as I can't really do that with the Fuji version. But to show you the effect, this is a sample photo that I got from TTArtisan, just to show you what the image would look like if you shoot with this lens on a full frame camera. So this is something that the other similar APS-C fisheye lens can't do. So if you have a full frame mirrorless camera, this surely is a reason that may make you want to choose this lens instead of the other 7.5mm fisheye lens in the market. Another interesting thing I want to point out is this TTArtisan 7.5mm lens is a f2 lens, while all the other 7.5mm fisheye lens in the market are f2.8 or slower than that. Now, while it doesn't really make any real difference in terms of depth of view because it's a fisheye lens, so it has a very deep depth of view no matter you're shooting at f2 or f2.8, but it should give you one-stop advantage in light gathering power, which means it's great for shooting under low light or when you want to shoot some astrophotography. I'll do some tests about the light gathering power when I do the fisheye comparison review soon. And another interesting thing is the minimum aperture of this lens is only f11, which is not really that small. Most other fisheye lenses, the minimum aperture is f16. Have a look at the front of the lens. The front element is pretty large and it has a built-in lens hood that is not removable. Behind that, we have the manual focus ring. The travel is just a little bit over 90 degrees. The manual focus ring itself feels very nice, very smooth. And then behind that, we have the aperture ring. And just like most other TTArtisan lenses, at least the one that I tried, the aperture ring has clicks, which is something I really like. There's a click at every half stop from f2 to f5.6, and after that it is one click per stop. The lens has a metal lens mount as you would have expected from a TTArtisan lens. It is not a weather sealed lens, so there's no rubber gasket on the lens mount. One thing about fisheye lenses is because they usually have a large extruded front element and also a very wide field of view, so it is virtually impossible to add any filter to it, not to the front anyway. So with this TTArtisan fisheye lens, one interesting design is the lens you can install a filter to the rear of the lens, and there is a ND1000 filter that is included into the box. So to install it, very easy, you just need to place it on the rear lens mount and then you just screw until it is tightly mounted onto the rear of the lens. So make sure you completely tighten it onto the lens, otherwise when you're shooting, there's a chance that you may fall off from the rear of the lens. While this is not the first ever fisheye lens that has a rear filter design, but the one that I'm aware of, they are all full frame fisheye lenses. So this is, as far as I know, the only APS-C mirrorless fisheye lens that has this rear filter design. Now, one thing you need to notice is after you install the rear filter onto the lens, the focus would change quite a bit, so you need to readjust the focus after you install the rear filter. But what about the quality of this rear filter? Would it affect the image quality? To me, it looks pretty good. Have a look at these two photos, one shot with and one shot without the ND1000 filter. Overall, there really isn't any big difference. I shot these two photos with the same white balance settings, but the color, the contrast, the amount of lens flare, sharpness, the amount of chromatic aberration is very similar between these two photos. TTArtisan did mention there could be some ghosting introduced by this ND filter. I myself, I look at all the test photos, all those comparison photos I shot with the ND1000 filter, and I don't really see any noticeable ghosting that could be introduced by this ND filter. The biggest benefit of using this rare ND1000 filter is you can now do some long exposure photo with this fisheye lens even on a bright sunny day. I do have one little complaint about this rare filter. It is, I would really love if TTArtisan actually supply a little carry case, some kind of pouch or something for me to carry this ND filter, because right now I don't have any easy way to carry it around in my camera bag. The minimum focus distance of this TTArtisan fisheye lens is 12.5 cm, which is the distance measured from the sensor to the subject. This would allow you to take some very nice but not really macro level close-up photo, and pretty much the only time that you can blur the background a little bit is when you take some close-up photo at the minimum focus distance. But just like taking close-up photo using any fisheye or any ultra wide angle lens, when you are doing that, the front element would get really close to your subject, so you have to be very careful not to cast any shadow on your subject. Okay, now let's talk about the image sharpness. The center sharpness of this lens is already very good at the maximum aperture f2. Stop down the lens would only improve the center sharpness marginally. Now let's have a look at the edge of the photo. At the maximum aperture f2, the edge is quite soft. You really have to stop down to around f5.6 or so, then the edge becomes reasonably sharp. Overall, while the edge sharpness isn't really the greatest, but to be fair, it is pretty common for most fisheye lenses. I will have to wait until I do the comparison with the other fisheye lenses, then I can tell you how this TTArtisan perform in terms of the edge sharpness, whether it is better or worse than the other fisheye lenses in the market. With the large extruded front element, fisheye lenses are usually quite easily affected by lens flare. With this TTArtisan lens flare control is reasonably good. I can see some ghosting when I'm shooting directly into the sun, but the amount of ghosting lens flare is at a quite acceptable level for a fisheye lens. Starting from around f5.6, you can start seeing some sun stars, but the sun stars from this TTArtisan lens isn't really very sharp or very clean. Even when I stop down to the minimum aperture f11, the sun stars are sharper, but it still looks a little bit messy to me. So overall, I'm not a really big fan of the sun stars from this TTArtisan fisheye lens. Testing vignetting of a fisheye lens is always a bit of challenge because it is almost impossible to find a wall or some places that has a huge and uniform color or brightness surface for me to check the vignetting. But anyway, with this 7.5mm TTArtisan fisheye lens, at the maximum aperture f2, there is visible vignetting. Not really serious, but it is visible at the maximum aperture. Stop down to f2.8, it would improve quite a bit, and at f4, then vignetting is virtually not visible. Chromatic aberration seems to be really well controlled by this TTArtisan fisheye lens. Look at this photo that I shot at the maximum aperture f2. Even at the high contrast area, there is only very minimal amount of color fringing. Yeah, there is some color fringing, but it is not serious at all. I remember when TTArtisan contacted me a few weeks ago and they told me that they're going to release a 7.5mm fisheye lens and asked me if I'm interested in doing a review or not. My first reaction was, oh, why another 7.5mm fisheye lens? There are already quite a few in the market, so I was not too sure if I really want to review it or not. But I'm glad that I said yes. This lens is quite a bit different to the other 7.5mm fisheye lenses in the market. The f2 maximum aperture is at least one stop faster than the other 7.5mm fisheye lenses in the market, and it would benefit nighttime photography, especially people who want to do astrophotography. On the other hand, the rear ND filter is great for people who like to do some long exposure photo during the day. So having these two features already make this lens a lot more flexible than the other 7.5mm fisheye lenses in the market. The ability to use it on a full frame camera and turn it into a circular fisheye lens is also a very cool idea. I have to say I'm not too sure how many people would really benefit from it, but I love it when companies bring new ideas to their product. In terms of image quality, this TTArtisan fisheye lens, the image quality seems to be pretty decent as well. It is not perfect, but there is also no major weakness, especially for a lens at its price. But as I've already mentioned, I'm going to do a 7.5mm fisheye lenses comparison review very soon. So remember to subscribe if you are interested in that, so that you can see how is the image quality of this TTArtisan lens is like when compared to the other fisheye lenses in the market. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you have any suggestions on what you want to see in my fisheye comparison video, please let me know.